So one thing, the media controls a lot. I feel like that's a broad statement, a general statement, but I just want to I just want to tell a story, I guess, on just like how one way I like, not in a big way, not in this way or anything like that, but like when I was younger, more or less like preteen, teenagerish year, like how just how in a greater influence, how just how much I saw it really just impacted, and how much more you can do when there's like when there's just more when there's more general information out to the public more knowingly. You know what I mean? Like the fear and the problems and everything else that causes it and everything that kind of surrounds it. I'm just hoping there's a little more insider. But yeah, my bad. I was getting distracted by Baby Keem and Kenny Mason. I was getting distracted by all the fat asses. When I was younger, I don't want to give too many details about this part, I guess. But one thing, uh, like I said, this is gonna be. I feel like this is gonna be very vague and very just. Yeah, this is gonna be a little. I feel like a little more vague than it has to be and a little short. But when I was like 14, 15, when I was 14 or 15, I had got injured. Man, I was playing football at the time, and I had like I don't know, I had a leg injury or some shit. I forgot the original injury, to be honest. It was like a shin splint or some shit. You know what I mean? Something that had to wear a boot, and goddamn Don Tolliver. But I was wearing, but it was something where I had to wear a boot, and apparently the boot or whatever has at the time had made my hips uneven or some shit, and to where it actually threw off my back, my alignment, and my spine, and everything like that, and it caused me to have a bulging disc. You know what I mean? It caused me to have a bulging disc, and also at the time I had fractured one of my side muscles because I had tried to start working out again. You know what I mean? Thinking that it was all okay and all that kind of shit. You know what I mean? Trying to go back to school with a pre-numbed injury or whatever the fuck it's called, not knowing that you had an injury prior. You know what I mean? You just thought, ow, my body hurts. It just kind of hurts sometimes. You know what I mean? If your body hurts, it just doesn't hurt sometimes. Go get it checked out. You know what I mean? That's what I learned now. But get it checked out if you can, okay? You know what I mean? Your insurance might be a little like mine, but whatever. But yeah, I had to wear this boot, and it made my hips uneven, and it fucked up my back a lot to the point where I think like yeah, like early like late like early in the school year, like September or something like that, I had been bedridden, you know what I mean, to the point where my injury was just making my leg all purple, swollen, to the point where it just hurt to like it got to the point where I had to lay on the floor in a certain position to where it's just like it wouldn't hurt, you know what I mean, because if I put my leg straight I couldn't, like, it took about a minute for my leg to start feeling numb to the point where I'd be like, all right, I gotta lay down or do something, you know what I mean. Like, I couldn't take a shit if I felt like not a man, man. You know what I mean? I felt like, how am I gonna go from here? You know what I mean? I was a fucking 14-year-old unable to take a shit properly without having it to fucking, you know what I mean? Without having it to fucking, like, you know what I mean, hurt. I wasn't able to take a shit, bruh, without having something wrong with me at the time, bruh. That's just how I was thinking then. But since then I got better, whatever. But at the time, they would, my mom and all this kind of stuff, we were trying to get insurance, because our insurance necessarily wasn't the best. So obviously, we didn't have the most money, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But, like, our insurance, I don't know at the time, but it was just fucked up, because, my mom kept repeatedly and trying to go in for like an MRI for me and all that kind of shit, just trying to get me just to kind of figure out what the fuck was going on. Because at the time they didn't know that it was my back. Everybody was thinking it was my leg or like I was faking it. I'm like, sir, this hurts. I don't know how to explain this, but this hurts. You're the doctor. Help me, please. You know what I mean? I'm like looking at you in the eye. Sir, this hurts. But we just kept going and all this kind of shit. And, we were just like, we didn't know. So by the time we find out it was a back injury, it was about 3 months in, I should say. 3 months in of just me laying on the floor already, missing school, not doing anything. I literally had to stay home, like, alone, because, you know, parents be working and shit, people be off doing their own thing or whatever. And, you know, I was just at home by myself all day. You know what I mean? Nothing to do. Literally, I couldn't do anything because it hurt. You know what I mean? I couldn't fucking do shit. And the entire time, I eventually got my surgery and stuff. Obviously, don't worry. But not even that. But at the time, the our insurance at the time, we were trying to get it to pay for to help us pay out for the surgery and for the procedure or whatever to help me fix my back. You know what I mean? So they can get in and trim whatever bone they needed to trim or whatever. You know. And at the time, the way the insurance was, they were to help with the pain. They were giving me like Vicodin, Oxycontin, and they were giving it to me like weird, like crazy amounts. I remember the Oxycontin, they made me take like, I want to say 800 milligrams a day or something like that, like a day, bruh, for at least a good like through like 4 months. Okay, the Oxycontin and the Vicodin, they just kept giving me continuously just because it helped. You know what I mean? I forgot how many milligrams of Vicodin, but it was like 8. And it was like 10 pills a day, something like that. 10 pills of Vicodin a day, bruh. Like, and this is like when I'm like 14, 15. And our insurance was paying for all that shit. They were paying for me to get all these pills and get all this extra, just all these extra drugs and medication or whatever and all this kind of shit, just to keep me home or whatever. And I don't know if it was they thought it was like I don't know what I don't like I said I don't know what they thought, but fucking they're the thought and the way they added up. We looked at the procedure and all this kind of shit. So by the time they gave me all this medication within like 3 or 4 months, they could have paid for the surgery. You know what I mean? We looked at the average surgery in Oregon and at OHSU, so where I had the surgery done was I forgot, but it was just about the same price. You know what I mean? So we're trying to convince the insurance ones like I'm hurt. Can we just get the procedure and just help? You know what I mean? We'll pay the fucking 15% down payment, not down payment, but the copay or whatever. You know what I mean? We just kind of want to get this earned so I can kind of, you know what I mean, move on with my life. You know what I mean? So I won't have to be a 14-year-old, not being 14, doing 14-year-old things, being home alone all day, injured, not knowing high key if I'm gonna be alive or not. You know what I mean? So, you know, and we're just realizing like, what the fuck? You know, the entire time. And my mom was trying to tell him, like, I love my mom, you know what I mean? And she's trying to tell him and convince him all this other shit. Just like, uh, 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 just trying to almost like kind of plagiarizing, not plagiarizing, but fucking, pestering and fucking just getting at the fucking insurance company and the, card holders whatever we had at the time. And, trying to tell him like, dude, my son's injured. You know what I mean? Help me, fucking. You know what I mean? We're trying to fucking move insurances, you know, all this kind of other shit and shit with my dad at the time. But that's like another story. Like I said, I just got daddy issues. But all the other shit at the time and all this kind of stuff, man, it was just crazy, bro. I couldn't. It was just so stupid. It got to the point to where my mom, I want to say about late February not last year, that was stupid, a while back, whenever it happened, but like late February of like next year, late February, March, something like that. She had threatened, she had put in a couple news stories and tried to send a couple stories up to a couple news stations, like local news stations, like Fox 12, I think, or some shit. You know what I mean? I don't know which one, but she like, I forgot which one she did, but whatever. She sent out a couple, right, and and then she told the insurance like, hey, I told the news about this, okay, that you're paying for my son, to get all this medication, when the fact that you could have already paid for his surgery to get done. You know what I mean? But you're still just paying for all this fucking medication, which is almost pretty much just the same amount. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what you want to do with that info, whatever, blah blah blah. But she put all the specifics and all that kind of shit into onto this fucking newsletters or whatever at the time, and this shit was crazy, bro. Cause I never seen my mom like. My mom is like she's not a fighter, but she'll fuck you up when she needs to. You know what I mean? Like if you box her in the corner, she'll like she's not gonna die. You know what I mean? But she'll make sure she gets out. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Like she'll fucking like I almost said I'm not gonna say that, but you know. But she'll do whatever if you box her in the corner, man. She'll fucking like she'll fuck you up. But she was like threatening them and all that kind of shit, trying to give them space. And she was on their ass repeatedly. You know what I mean? It got to the point where I think someone responded and wanted to like say something, like, you know what I mean? Where at least they responded to her on the news story or whatever, trying to see if it was real. But eventually, but like a couple days after we threatened, they were trying to get us to schedule the surgery and get us the pre-op for the surgery and all this kind of shit, so I can get my blood work and all this kind of shit. And we're like, wow. So that's what it took, okay, for me to get my surgery and for me to be okay and walking to the point where I am right now. It took threatening of my insurance, my health insurance holder at the time. It took threatening them. Taking them to the media of, I should say, general media, big media of big court media, whatever you want to call it, news. You know what I mean? Like news stations and all the TV media, all that kind of shit. You know what I mean? But we took it to that. You know what I mean? And that it got to that point to where we had to. You know what I mean? And they immediately took it back and was trying to get, like I said, get me scheduled. And we're like, damn, this is really what it took. You know. Thankful I'm here, and then like I want to say within like a month ish after that, I finally had got the surgery and was trying to recover from after that. You know what I mean? So yeah, you know what I mean. I really didn't honestly for a while, like just laying there. I really didn't think I was gonna be able to walk again, all this kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like 6 months ain't a long time, but it's a long time when you're doing nothing. You know what I mean? So. I'm just thankful. So I guess I'm hoping that's just a insight. Hopefully, like, you know what I mean, anyone who's out there just can use this story as like motivation or something like that to just help them to get to where they need to be. You know what I mean? If someone's holding them back, you know what I mean? It's a greater force, I should say. There's a greater force that is outside of you and your willpower to take grasp of. You know what I mean? That doesn't make sense. I feel like a whole lot, but I hope you got what I meant. You know? It's more or less the feeling that matters, you know? So, threaten the general media. Threaten them with exposure. If you have to. Negative exposure, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Anything that'll get you locked up and get them locked up was a good sure go of like how to get them to do what you want. Or do what they already needed to do, I should say. In the first place. Do their job, in a sense. That's another story time. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm tired. I hope anyone who sees this just uses this as motivation. Fatty on fatty on fatty. I never knew why Dash in the video said Converse for my bitches, but if you wearing Converse as an adult, Heike, you need to question your shit. Have a good one, guys.